The passing of Dame Maggie Smith has left a profound void in the world of acting and storytelling, particularly for those fortunate enough to have worked with her. One of those people is the writer of the best Exotic Marigold Hotel, who vividly recalls the unique, unforgettable experience of collaborating with an actor whose fiery, no-nonsense persona on screen was a reflection of her true self off-screen. This tribute to Maggie Smith is a mixture of deep admiration, humor, and gratitude for a woman who, despite her illness, always seemed immortal. Her sharp wit, powerful performances, and undeniable presence are what set her apart. But as the writer so poignantly reflects, they also made her company either a treasure or, for some, downright terrifying. In recounting his memories of working with Maggie, the writer begins with a sentiment shared by many who adored her work. "This one hurts. I knew she was ill, but I always believed she was immortal." This thought encapsulates how Maggie Smith, with her nearly transcendent talent and larger-than-life presence, felt like a permanent fixture in the world of cinema. Her work has cemented her legacy, ensuring that her influence will live on, but the writer's grief is palpable as he reflects on how all that piss and vinegar that she brought to every role didn't buy the world just a few more years of her extraordinary company. Maggie Smith was a woman who held a mirror to herself both on and off the screen. According to those who knew her, you didn't get to be Maggie Smith on screen without being Maggie Smith off screen. Her wit was as sharp as a knife, her put-downs legendary, and she gave precisely zero allowances for mediocrity. The writer describes her acerbic wit as at least as funny and powerful as the lines any writer could craft for her. It was this unapologetic personality, this absolute command of every room she entered, that made her a formidable presence. For those who earned her approval, though, the payoff was immense. Maggie's friendship, once secured, was as passionate as it was loyal. The writer fondly recalls that if you were lucky enough to win her over, her friendship was a fierce bond, radiant with wisdom and steadfast loyalty. But Maggie was famously particular about whom she allowed into her inner circle. If you found yourself on the wrong side of her favor, and, as the writer notes, the list of those people was long, her company could be downright terrifying. You didn't get a half-hearted Maggie Smith, whether she liked or disliked you. She made sure you knew it. In a sense, this fearlessness, this unflinching honesty, made her a rare gem in an industry that is often riddled with artifice. Maggie Smith had no time for the usual trappings of fame or flattery. She lived and worked on her own terms. The writer's relationship with Maggie began when he crafted the role of Muriel Donnelly in the best Exotic Marigold Hotel, with her specifically in mind. He never envisioned anyone else playing the part, and the thrill of knowing that the great dame herself would deliver his lines was incomparable. There's simply no greater thrill for a writer than knowing that the great dame is going to be saying your words, dignifying your material, timing the gags incomparably, and finding truth, wit, and pain in every line, he reflects. It's a testament not just to her extraordinary talent, but to the deep respect she commanded from those who wrote for and with her. Working with Maggie Smith was, in the writer's words, an honor and privilege that he experienced on multiple occasions. After the success of the first Marigold Hotel movie, he worked with her again on the sequel and later on another film, for which he once more crafted a part specifically for her. In this, Maggie's true character shone through. Her initial response to the role the second time was filled with characteristic sharpness, yet she still embodied the writer's words with grace and precision. It wasn't long before he found himself offering her yet another role, this time for the all-singing, all-dancing teacher in Mamma Mia. Here we go again. The writer admits that he knew she would decline the role, but in his heart, he simply wanted to make her laugh. Her reply was a classic Maggie Smith response. "Not even for you, dear." A terse, yet affectionate, rejection that he cherishes to this day. The writer's memories of working with Maggie on the best Exotic Marigold Hotel are filled with laughter and fondness. Filming in India brought the cast of seasoned actors together in a way that few productions do. Every evening, the older actors, Maggie included, would gather for dinner, and every morning, Maddie and her dear friend Dame Judi Dench would swim together in their old-fashioned Victorian swimsuits. For the writer, one of the greatest pleasures of working with Maggie Smith was hearing her laugh. She had two distinct types of laughter, he recalls. The first was a dry cackle, which was frequent and familiar to those around her. But the second was rarer and more cherished, a genuine, head-back roar of laughter that could light up the entire room. To hear the latter was the ultimate reward, and the writer counts himself lucky to have inspired it on several occasions. "I'll miss them both," he confesses, "but I'll miss her more." As they filmed the sequel to the best Exotic Marigold Hotel in India, conversations about a potential third film began to surface. It's here that Maggie Smith's wit once again came into play. When someone floated the idea of continuing the franchise with another installment, Maggie responded with her signature blend of humor and biting realism. "I'll only do it," she said, "if you call it Marigold Hospice." Her suggestion, as funny as it was poignant, reflected her ability to balance humor with the inevitable truth of growing older. For the writer, Maggie Smith's passing represents the loss of a singular talent, one that cannot be replaced. He remembers her as a brilliant genius, someone who elevated every project she worked on. Even the sharpest dialogue could be made sharper, funnier, or more touching in her hands. Her ability to bring out the truth in every line, no matter how comedic or tragic, was unmatched. She didn't just deliver words, she lived them, inhabiting each role with a depth that few could match. And yet Maggie Smith's life and legacy extend far beyond her performances. Those who knew her best speak of her wisdom, her kindness, and her fierce loyalty. She was a woman who didn't suffer fools gladly but fiercely protected and cherished those who earned her trust. Her friendship, like her acting, was an all-or-nothing affair. Once you had it for life. As the writer reflects on his time with Maggie Smith, he acknowledges that her work will continue to live on, immortalized on screen for generations to come. But the real loss, for those who knew her personally, is the absence of her presence, her voice, and of course, her laughter. For those lucky enough to have called her a friend, she was much more than a legend of the screen. She was, in every sense of the word, extraordinary. In closing, the writer offers a final tribute to the woman who brought his words to life with such power and grace. "Rest in power, you brilliant genius," he says, summing up what so many feel about the incomparable Dame Maggie Smith.